Hey folks, welcome back to Game Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're taking a look at Gaming News Consolidated. This is September 15th through the 21st. And what I do every week is I take time to look at, spend a few hours during the week looking at videos, catching up on articles, and putting it all right here for you in a podcast and consolidating the news for you. Checking audio, and it sounds wonderful. Perfect. We'll go ahead and get started. Okay. So yeah, we'll be talking about Black Ops a little bit, Marathon. We'll be talking quite a bit about PlayStation. We got some numbers for Diablo 4, which is pretty insane. We got an update too for Black Myth. We'll talk a little bit about Unity, which we haven't talked about them for a long time. Also about Nintendo and Pal World and some other stuff too. So thanks for tuning in, folks. You can always like, sub, all that jazz. Also links for Twitter X, Discord, and oh man, I just woke up. I forget the other one. But anyway, all the links are on the YouTube page. I should probably put those in the description too, huh? Probably should. This game too on the screen, if you're, if you're watching, is we'll probably be looking at this too. Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. We just had a game made by Game Mill, which makes some horrible games, and they put out a Ninja Turtle game, and it's not good. But Shredder's Revenge is a wonderful one, and we just got this one on Game Pass, so I'll actually be checking this one out. Because this is like the older kind of stuff, the nostalgic, 2D fighting games. Those were a blast. Okay, well, let's get to it. So the Black Ops 6 beta was huge during the week of September 1st through the 7th. Both Xbox and PlayStation had Call of Duty HQ in the #1 spot during that week. And it's crazy because normally they're still pretty high on the list. And I understand that Call of Duty HQ is like Modern Warfare 2 and 3 and the beta and Warzone. It's all wrapped into one thing, right? But it is pretty impressive that they're never at the top spot, though. Maybe they're in the top 5, or depending what's out, maybe on the top 6. But for them to hold the top spot is pretty impressive during that beta week. And there were a lot of people playing the Black Ops 6 beta. So it was on Game Pass. So that's roughly, tens of millions that are playing that through Game Pass. And then too, there's also, I saw a lot of PlayStation folks that had pre-ordered the game or were just trying it for the open beta when that was available. And yeah, there were so many people playing. There were, an hour and a half, maybe a couple of hours when it first started. Just for those that pre-ordered and had Game Pass, they were struggling to keep up. Things were crashing. People were getting stuck in loading screens. It was kind of a mess. And so they put more servers online so they could hold the capacity of all the people wanting to play. But yeah, Black Ops 6, regardless of what people are saying on YouTube, Black Ops 6 is a hugely anticipated game. And I'm excited for myself. So are some of my other Call of Duty buddies that haven't been excited for COD in a long time. Black Ops 6 is actually going to, I think, sell really, really well. And regardless of what folks are saying, I think people are going to play it and pick it up. So this is crazy. Black Ops 6 beta even beat Fortnite, which is insane. Fortnite has held the top spot forever on Xbox and PlayStation. As far as numbers that we can, go for. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. On PC, Call of Duty HQ was number 4. The only games that beat it were Fortnite, Counter-Strike, and Space Marine 2. Those were 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, Game Pass definitely helped with this. Will they lose sales? Well, they could, because Game Pass is $20 a month. So basically, if they're getting 4 months, it'll pay for itself for Black Ops. And I think people that are getting Game Pass are going to play it more than just a month, more than just a couple of months. Unless they really just want to go for the campaign, you can probably beat that in a few hours. But yeah, if they want to play it for several months, it's almost as if they got a actually paid for unit sale of Black Ops 6. So we're going to have unit sales, which are going to be those that don't have Game Pass and are on PlayStation. But I think it's going to be pretty challenging to see really how successful Black Ops 6 is. But what I want to see is I want to see Game Pass numbers to actually see how much that went up, how many people were doing it, and will they share those? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I'll be keeping up with the stats for Black Ops 6 to see, and the stats for Game Pass as well. Because, yeah, PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 folks, they still have to pay for an actual copy. And a lot of them did. There were a lot of people on there during the closed beta, so I know they pre-ordered it. So, yeah, this will probably be the biggest launch ever for a Call of Duty game. The one that actually sold the most was Modern Warfare 2, and in 3 days they sold 13 million copies. So, can Black Ops 6 beat that? I don't know. We'll have to see. But generally speaking, over the course of Call of Duty's game lifetime, any particular game, excuse me, they usually sell around 20 million copies in total. Because there's the people that will buy it at the price point at launch, and as the price slowly goes down, or there's sales or discounts or deals, people will continue to buy. And generally speaking, just about on average, every COD sells about 20 million copies. It's pretty insane. All right, let's talk about Marathon. Looks like Sony has a new live service model. So Helldivers 2 and Concord were $40, and they were live service, and you still had things that you could pay for, like cosmetics or boosters in the game. And there's also some stuff you could earn, too. Helldivers 2 did extremely well, and Concord is the fastest flopping game ever as a AAA game. So Marathon could be too. It could do really well, or it could be like Concord. And so live service definitely has burned out a lot of people, because we know that ultimately the game is to get us to play, not to have fun. And the idea is to keep us playing so that we can keep buying. And that's generally what they're doing. And so the model has been all geared around, MTX, microtransactions, and getting us to keep playing and buying. There's also been a lot of server bugs with these issues, and even with paying for early access, like 3 to 5 days early, those servers are always a mess. And then games too are also $70. So we can all thank Take-Two for that one with NBA 2K23, I think it was. That was the first $70 game. I wonder, too, if Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be an $80 game or a $75 game. Because a lot of people are excited for that one, too. But yeah, players don't want to pay $60 or $70 anymore for a live service game. And it's really tough if it's free, because, well, people don't actually spend enough money on microtransactions lately. Because, again, they all feel the same. They all play the same. Excuse me. And this was Concord's problem, is that it was too much alike with, like, Overwatch and other hero shooters like that. And a lot of 5v5 games are out there as well. And it's all PvP all the time, all first-person shooters. And so it wasn't able to set itself apart. For those that actually played it, Concord actually did pretty good. But yeah, it just, again, just people are tired of the same stuff over and over and over. You can only sell it for the same price for so long. And so I think with the model that we're seeing, Marathon looks like it's going to be also $40. They've also redesigned the game a little bit to be a hero, like an extraction shooter, like Tarkov or Warzone, or even like Apex Legends, something like that. So it looks like we're going to get a game like that. And those games generally, too, are also more successful. So yeah, if Marathon is $40, that'll be its base price. The company will get money right away, of course, and then they'll have MTX/microtransactions that will continue to help them be successful. And I think this is going to be PlayStation's model, because they've had one huge success, one huge failure, And we'll see how Marathon does. And I also, too, am really curious. I don't think Marathon will be free to play in any way. I think it'll, again, be a flat fee of $40. But will people see it as a Helldivers, or will they see it as a Concord? Because I think the perception is going to be huge for people that are looking at it. And, two, like for a lot of folks, Destiny 2 is on its way out. And so, they're going to have to play something. Like, we're no longer going to get big DLCs. We're no longer going to be getting a lot of extra stuff. They already changed their roadmap again. Remember, they are losing about 35% of their entire dev team over there, which is huge. So they got to put out a lot less content while they're trying to finish up on Concord. Concord 2, finishing up on Marathon. Marathon 2 has also been delayed for a year, and we still don't have a release date. It's middle of September. We still don't have one. And so, yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Everyone likes a cheaper price point of $40. It doesn't seem as risky. And then, yeah, companies are also getting money from every player that plays to help sustain the studio and keep content going. Excuse me. Because, yeah, that's my issue, too, with, like, the First Descendant is, like, that's a free one. But, again, the game is incredibly grindy. And, we covered that here on the channel. Of, like, the gameplay, how it is, which it's kind of generically kind of easy, kind of like a lot of Destiny stuff. But still, that can still be successful, as Destiny has proven over the last decade. Which, happy anniversary to them, by the way. Destiny's been here now for 10 years, which is incredible. Very successful live service game. Quite the feat. But with, like, also the First Descendant, it's a very, very grindy game. And then the microtransactions are incredibly expensive. And borderline inappropriate, too. Well, they are inappropriate. I mean, they're guys. They know what they're doing. Of course they do. Those developers know what they're doing. But yeah, I worry about, First Descendant, about even live service just being able to sustain itself, because we have so many games that are insane, and then what we have on the screen, these are fun games. They're just more simplified. They got a campaign. You can play them with other people. And I feel like that's, too, why Helldivers was partly really successful, is because, the focus was together, not against. And we're getting tired of against. And millennials, we're the oldest demographic. And a lot of us are around 30 years old now. Maybe even a little older than that. And so, yeah, we're getting slower. We don't have as much time either. And so, yeah, the gaming industry is going to shift some because of this. Another game that's going to be coming that's also going to use this hybrid model of $40 up front plus microtransactions is going to be Arc Raiders. It's going to be made by the same people that made the finals. So I'm very curious, too, about this. I was going to try to get into a beta test, but I just don't have enough time right now. But if we're getting into a closed beta, it means they are getting close. So I think we can see a launch at the beginning of next year sometime, up to March maybe. There's also early access, where you can pay a $20 to $30, $40 fee to actually get in and play the game, but it's not officially released. But you can do this beta early access thing, like 7 Days to Die, POW World, Grounded. Excuse me. Baldur's Gate 3. All of those games did the same thing. They tried that early access, paid a small fee to actually play and help the devs figure out stuff and see gameplay and whatever, and test the servers. And this is even happening with, kind of Deadlock right now, where it's just kind of in early access, and there's 150,000 people playing concurrently for its peak on Steam right now, which is pretty insane. And again, this is another 5v5 shooter. But how they've gone about it is completely different than what Concord was. Because right now it's free. And the game's got to, kind of be different too. It's got to add something. And Concord unfortunately didn't. So, but overall, what I think kind of this hybrid model of $40 up front with microtransactions after, I think what this is showing is that this, players are ultimately voting for cheaper games. And I think that's why we also see the discounts all the time. Because we always kind of had discounts on our stores. And now we're at a point where literally every week there is like a new wave of discounts of different games, different genres, whatever. Indie, AA, and AAA. It's hitting them all. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens with Marathon. I'm actually very curious. But, yeah, I don't think even the devs at Bungie are excited for Marathon. Destiny was just an incredible game for a lot of people, and the devs, too. There's a whole community around that, and I don't think Marathon is going to be that successful. And if Marathon bombs, I am extremely worried for Bungie. And Bungie's kind of already been going downhill the last several years, even before Sony bought them. But Sony buying them has just kept them going for a few more years. But they actually need to put out a product that engages players, is fun. There's, engagement with other players in the game, which I think co-op is a great way to do it. And then it needs to be affordable. And I think that's the biggest issue right now for a lot of people is, excuse me, with inflation and a lot of other issues going on around the world. It's just too much money to actually buy a bunch of games right now. And there's still some of those whales out there, absolutely. And if you are a whale, you have that money. Congratulations, you've figured it out. But yeah, for a lot of us, myself included, a couple hundred a year for games, including multiplayer and stuff. That's about it. That's about what I can afford. So that's why I do the Microsoft Rewards program. I keep doing those little tasks every month, every week, every day to earn those points to turn it in for $10. And I encourage you guys to do that too if you're looking to save some money. Let's talk about the co-CEO at PlayStation. Says that the console is still their main focus. They'll use the console to sell everything else. That's the idea. It's been that way for a long time. Excuse me. So that's telling me two things. That they won't have a service like Game Pass. Because Game Pass is pretty different compared to what they have. Game Pass is all about first-party, day one releases, third-party releases, and third-party being able to be onto the service. It's acting like a hub for anybody that wants to have their game on Game Pass. And when you have 34, million people, probably 35 million people now. And again, I'm excited to see how Black Ops 6 changes all of this, because it's actually going to be on Game Pass day one, which is huge. And yeah, I'm glad they're going all in, because they need to. Otherwise, it's probably not going to be that successful. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what PlayStation does, because if they're still focused on console and using that to sell everything else with the PS5 Pro, they're not off to a good start. And even they've been seeing a slowdown in console sales. Even they are not selling as many consoles as they normally do. Even with like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. And so there's just been less console sales this year compared to any other year when you're actually looking at the data as a whole. And so it's almost like the actual consumer base of console buyers is shrinking. And that's a really big problem for PlayStation if their console is still their main focus, because the console isn't the main focus anymore for the general gamer. That's what that data is telling us. It also tells me that they'll eventually have to maybe change focus down the road if the console does not sell enough. They'll have to adapt. Things will depend on how many console sales they're having. And this is why, too, PlayStation is also having some of their exclusive games go over to PC, which means they're not exclusive anymore. Now, you still have to have a PSN account, okay? You still, in order to play those, which I think is frustrating. You're also closed off if you don't have PSN access, which a lot of countries don't. It's insane how many countries are on that list. It's like over 100, and which is pretty frustrating. But yeah, still the idea is that they're getting their games to more players, and some of those players are taking the opportunity to buy them on PC. It's the same thing of what Xbox is doing with Game Pass. Game Pass has actually been out there for a long time, 2016, and saying, hey, we're going to provide a service for people, and not a lot of people like it, but we still have consoles, even with their latest dish of console upgrades, like updating the SSD. It still can come with a disk drive if you prefer that model, which I think is great. I mean, it's $600. You get a 2 terabyte hard drive, nothing else, and you still get a disk drive for $600. And honestly, that's a pretty good deal, because if you want the same type of hard drive as a memory card through Seagate, you got to pay $150. So for an extra $100 for an extra gig, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But yeah, Xbox has made it pretty clear that their console is not the main focus anymore, that it's actually Game Pass. And Game Pass will be the thing to sell everything else. To sell the console, to sell the controllers, to sell all the headsets and other peripherals and, etc. And they're putting all of their chips on Game Pass. Sony's co-CEO said they'll continue to port to PCs. We were talking about. But who's going to win ultimately? But with all of this, it's going to be PC. And they have been fighting. Both Xbox and Sony are fighting over players, and the vast majority of players are on PC. There's like 1 billion of them. 1 billion. It's insane. Those that also have Steam, excuse me, there's about 132 million monthly active users on Steam. And that's tens of millions more than what PlayStation has. PlayStation has about 118 million monthly active users in their network, and Xbox has about 150 million, which is a ton. But I think a lot of those numbers are actually from people getting onto 360, booting those up and buying some things for cheap, just so that they can have the games in their library. So I don't think it's quite that big, but again, last numbers I saw, it was around 110, 120 million. So pretty much the same as PlayStation. But yeah, you got 132 million on Steam. Yeah, that's a lot of other players that they're trying to tap into. And smart to do that, too. Xbox also said that they have something else they want to share, something new and exciting, probably, around the holidays. And so the holidays are coming. So maybe we'll see it around the Game Awards. Maybe they'll do their own thing. I don't know. We also got way too many showcases this year. It's so frustrating. But I think ultimately the next thing to really tap into is going to be mobile. I think that is the next frontier. So we're pushing into PC right now, right? The console makers are pushing into PC, except for Nintendo. And then I think mobile is going to be next after that. And we know that Xbox is already creating an app. They were already creating cloud. Sony, I think, too, is talking about doing cloud. But right now, Sony doesn't have those. And I think if they want to engage with a bigger player base, they're going to have to continue to expand some of this stuff. So, again, that's why Sony's already doing it for PC. Ultimately, I think, the next decade, or the rest of this decade, is really going to show where a lot of people are going, and I think it's going to be PC. PC's already been winning, and I think if PlayStation is putting out more consoles that are $700 that don't really do very much, like the PS5 Pro, link in the description if you want to check those out, I think they're just going to push more people to PC. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a mess. Sorry for the audio quality, folks. It's just how it is, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm going to have to change something. So let's continue on. We also got Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit. This was actually on PC for a while, and now it's going to be coming to console. And so this is going to be for past and current gen consoles, all of them. This is going to be September 27th. You're basically going to be little Oswald going into a ball pit. And while that happens, you'll be transported into the past. Looks like you'll be able to move into the past and into the present and back and forth again. You'll be working on solving puzzles, finding clues, surviving, and it all looks probably going to be first person as well. That way they can get all of those jump scares in there. Oh yeah, let me put my party on. There we go. Also, we got kind of something for Stalker 2. This is actually a survival game, open world, that I'm actually very excited for. Stalker 2, it's been a real mess for them. They've been working on this for quite some time, and there's a documentary actually on about how it's been for the team making the game. And so there's some developers in Ukraine. The war happened in 2022 with the invasion, and it changed everything for them. And so there's a trailer right now in the description link below. You can actually check out the trailer itself. And then, this documentary is going to come out on October 3rd. So pretty soon, a couple of weeks. And if you're interested in what it's been like for the team, I suggest taking a look at that, because it became more than just making a game that they're passionate about. It became a lot more than that. And so what is Stalker 2? Basically, it's an idea of an alternative universe with Chernobyl over in Russia. And if you want kind of an idea of what it's like an apocalyptic Metro Exodus on steroids. So you get like an open area, or an open area in Metro Exodus. But in Stalker 2, it's a huge open area. It's 60 square kilometers. It's actually the size of Far Cry 5. And it's all single player, and you're trying to find equipment to sell, trying to survive out there amongst the fallout and all of the creatures too that have evolved and changed. And I'm actually really excited about this. Again, I don't think it's for everybody. I think too that it's geared toward kind of more of a realistic shooter. So like the weapons and the scopes and taking care of yourself. There's going to be some management properties there, probably, that you're going to have to deal with. And that's not for everybody, but Stalker 2, if you're really excited about this, you can get a physical copy. You just have to do it directly through the studio. So type in Stalker 2 physical copy, and you can confirm your pre-order. That way they know that, hey, someone else wants another physical copy. They'll tell their distributor to make another physical copy, and then they will ship it to you when that becomes available. And I think this too is going to become more common, where if you pre-order physical copies, you'll actually get one. And but again, you're taking a risk on the game, because the game can be pretty horrible or pretty awful. But I would think too, if they're actually making a physical copy, they know that it's going to be good, and that people are going to want it. So I think that's a little bit confirmation of the quality of the game. Not that it's not going to have bugs or issues like that. We'll cover them here on the channel. The game's coming out in November, but I'm actually quite excited for this. Let's see. If you're enjoying Black Myth Wukong, looks like we'll actually get some DLC in 2025. And there's still no word on an Xbox release. Some people are still gauging that, it'll be in 2025 sometime. Though this is kind of a curious one. Again, we're not exactly sure, but the developers have said, yes, because of Xbox issues with the hardware and stuff, they're having a hard time making the game run. Which doesn't make any sense to me this time, because if you can actually run it on a PS5, the Series X has more computational power by about a teraflop and a half, roughly. And so there's more processing power for that. But the Xbox also has the Series S, and that could be the thing that's actually holding them back. Though there's been word too through IGN, and I think VG243 or 42, and there's been some articles circulating around, including even Xbox making a comment saying that no, it's actually not our hardware, and these the news sources are saying that it's because of the timed exclusive on PlayStation. So the studio would actually get money for that, and the timed exclusive would be pretty, we don't know how long it is. It's probably roughly within 6 months to a year, would be my guess. And so, we'll have some time, maybe, but it seems like that's more the case, that it was actually a timed exclusive. We'll have to see. Because especially if Microsoft is saying, no, it's not our hardware, like we don't know what they're talking about, it seems like something's up there. And the fact that somebody is lying, we don't exactly know who yet for sure, is kind of concerning. Because there's already enough convoluted stuff in the gaming industry, and lying should not become us, folks. It's pretty disgusting. But Black Myth Wukong has been extremely successful. We also have a possibility of more actual Black Myth games. So Black Myth, think of it as like an umbrella or like an overarching theme, and then Wukong is just one particular story. So it's possible with how successful this has been that we could be getting some more games in this series. So far, they've sold 18 million copies. 18 million, folks. This is crazy. And they've hit records on Steam charts, even more than PAL World, concurrent players per month. And yeah, it's been incredibly successful. Most sales have happened in China. About 75% have been in China. And if it eventually comes to Xbox, it'll sell more on top of that. And so, yeah, they're going to hit well over probably 25 million, or maybe even 30 million by the time this is done. Because, yeah, there's Xbox folks that are going to want to play this. And as the price also continues to drop over time for PC and PlayStation, more people will buy in as they run out of things to play. So, yeah, Black Myth Wukong has been incredibly successful, and it's been great. If you're curious, too, Digital Foundry has done some tests with Black Myth Wukong to actually see what a comparative PlayStation 5 Pro would be like and how it will run. And it's really not that great compared for the price point. So Digital Foundry, I'll try to remember to link them down below as well. And yeah, they do a great job. Let's talk about Diablo 4. Well, they celebrated making $1 billion for the game, which is incredibly impressive. And so we know about 666 million in sales for the game itself when it first launched. It has since then come out to the Game Pass, and it's making more money, of course. There's also microtransactions in the game. And we had a post from somebody that's actually with the studio, with the directors, one of the directors, I think, for Diablo 4, saying that they have made 150 million in MTX microtransactions. And yeah, 150 million, like this is 15% of their revenue for the total game. That's really impressive. That's a ton, and this is why they do microtransactions. Again, it's not the bulk of their sales necessarily, unless it's free to play, but still, like, this is why they do this. They do the bundles, they do the skins, because people still buy them, and I think it's okay for people to buy them. But when a game, my issue is when a game is completely focused on the grind to sell you microtransactions like boosters and stuff like that, and just ridiculous amounts of macro transaction horse armor and bundles that are $80 ultimately and all of this. I think that's getting ridiculous. Okay, microtransactions need to be quite a bit smaller than the actual base of the game. Okay, like these used to be $1, maybe up to $5, and then they got to 10 and 15 and now we're at $20, $30 for some of these. Even some of these, like horse armor, being $60. It's just like, it's so ridiculous, folks. So yeah, there's a point where I'm okay with the microtransactions, but when the idea is to sell the game off of microtransactions and have you grind to death, I'm just not interested. I want to play a video game and have fun with it. I don't want to just grind it. You know what I mean? And that's ultimately why I quit Destiny 2. Is because it was less about the story, less about the gameplay, and more about actually selling microtransactions. So I think this shows, too, that actually most don't buy microtransactions, or really any at all, like myself. And so, otherwise, microtransaction sales, I think, would be a lot higher if most players actually paid. Because, again, these microtransactions are not small anymore. They're getting pretty expensive. In total, they've sold over 10 million copies of Diablo 4. And yeah, now with it being on Game Pass, more people are playing it, more people are engaging with it. And they're selling more of those microtransactions. Again, if you feel like you've gotten it for free, you're more enticed to actually buy microtransactions. And so, yeah, Diablo 4 is going to continue to make money for quite a while. Let's talk about Unity. This is a developer engine. And they did some crazy stuff. They did some feast
where like, hey, if you get over a certain amount, you basically pay as a royalty for every download that you have, which is just ridiculous. And this actually would make it um, pretty unpalatable for a lot of developers because now it's cutting into their margins or making it to where their studio can't even survive anymore. Like if, it'd be different if you had, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of downloads compared to like tens of millions of downloads. And this is just, downloads to just period. Like if you deleted the game and you re-downloaded it, the company would have to pay, for that second download of yours, even though you already bought it. It's it's the same IP. It wouldn't matter. And so, a lot of companies, including some of the bigger AA ones, were like, nope, we're not going to do this. We're going to move on to something else. And so now Unity has changed their runtime policy to where, uh, they're now completely eliminating this. Like, bar none. They're completely removing it. And it's because they are definitely losing a lot of money. So, Q1 earnings with Q2 earnings of this year, they've lost $416 million. And that's a heck of a lot more than what it was in previous quarters. And again, it's just that amount of pushback that they've had. And ultimately, companies, folks like Unity, Microsoft, Sony, they don't listen to, or even Take-Two Interactive and EA, they don't listen to what you have to say. They listen to reviews. We saw that with Helldivers 2. And they listen to player counts like Concord. And they listen to people withholding their money. Just like Unity as an example here. So, yeah, it's all about your money, folks. And if you vote with it, you can help change the gaming industry. And I think that's what's happening. A lot of us are saying no to live service. A lot of us are spending less money. The consoles aren't selling as much as they did previous generations. And, people are voting with their money, and people are going to go with where gaming is the best experience and what matters most to them. And ultimately, too, with just how the recession is going for a lot of us around the world right now, there's just less money to go around. But yeah, when you actually have developers and publishers that are saying, no, we're not going to use your engine, we're going to use Unreal or somebody else. There's other ones out there that are basically free. They're not top of the line, but they are available. And so, yeah, there's other options out there. And this is how capitalism works, okay? There is kind of that money-hungry engine, just more money, more money. And, like, I get that. But when we have a monopoly, imagine if Unity was the only engine that we had. Monopolies are horrible, and we need to continue to breed competition so that the market can be fair. And then remember, folks, you guys always get to vote with your money. Every time you give it to a business or a company, or whatever, you are voting with their product over someone else's. So just remember that. I constantly vote with my money inside and outside of gaming all the time. And, a lot of it is saying no. I'm also able to make things work at the end of the day and have enough money. Yeah, $416 million over 6 months. That's a lot of money lost, and they're hurting. And this too is probably going to change with this information coming out. People that are going into game development, well, they have to pick what engine they want to go to school for, like Unreal or Unity. And if people are seeing these numbers, it's like, well, a lot of people are voting no with Unity and going to something else. And so, I'll probably just go to Unreal. And this makes a generational issue with Unity, is that, if game developers come out and say, look, we're looking for Unity folks, and there's no one there to actually take the job, then maybe they're just going to switch to another engine. Because you need to have your game developers knowing how to use the engine and in order to be efficient and cost effective and all of that. And this is a bad thing for Unity. Remember, they already got rid of their CEO and their president, so he's already gone, but the board is still making the decisions. Ultimately, we covered that here on the channel. And the board hasn't changed at all. And I hope this isn't enough. I really hope Unity actually completely gets destroyed. Because it's hard to trust them after they make a move like that. And it's, what's to say that they won't make a move like that again, especially when you have the same board members. And so, for me personally, something like this happens, you lost me forever. Like, you just broke my trust. I always cringe when I see something made in Unity because I just don't trust that company. I don't even want to buy the games that are made in Unity because I think the gaming industry deserves better. And so, yeah, if you're even a small game developer right now looking at this, I wouldn't even make it in Unity. There's other options out there, even free options, and it would be better to make your game in those. Because, yeah, Unity has a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths with what they did. Oh, my phone's just panicking out. Hold on. Let's talk about Nintendo. So Nintendo has officially filed a lawsuit against Pocket Pair. And Pocket Pair made Pal World. Remember Pokemon with guns? So it's finally here. Pal World has been very successful. They've made tens of millions of dollars. Again, it was Pokemon with guns. They innovated. They made it open world. The game ran really well. This was even in beta, and now yeah, the Pokemon Company has officially filed an injunction for infringement and compensation for damages on that infringement on multiple patents. And so yeah, they can ask for Pal World to be taken down or taken offline. Pal World also just announced that there's like an official release coming, like later this year or into next year. And so maybe this is actually what Nintendo was waiting for. Maybe if it's just a test, they can't actually do anything legally. So maybe they actually have to wait for an official release. And so yeah, they're going with this. And yeah, that kind of sucks. If Nintendo wins, it'll be likely up to the judge on what happens. And so yeah, if they win, I doubt anyone will be. If Nintendo wins, I doubt anyone will be able to mimic Pokemon again for a very, very long time because again, you put all this money in, and now you have to take your game down. You lose all of your player base. You lose all of the future potential of sales, and you lose money that you also made during all of that. And yeah, this is crazy. Nintendo too must also have some really good evidence because again, it's taken a long time. This is roughly 9 months now since the game has actually been out, and people have been saying for a long time, "Oh yeah, they're going to do it. They're going to do it." Well, after roughly the 6 month mark, people quit talking about this. Yeah, now in September, they officially filed on September 18th, and yeah, this lawsuit is going to be a mess. There's also been this is also going to probably affect Sony. And so Pocket Pair has made a deal with Sony Entertainment, and they've made Pal World Entertainment to capitalize on merchandise, other media, and so Nintendo would probably also shut this down if they won the lawsuit. Because again, anything affecting Pocket Pair is going to affect any other partnerships that they have, and they have two partnerships, big ones that we know of. We know they have a partnership with Xbox, and they have a partnership with Sony. And so this is going to affect both of them, and probably in a very negative way. And this too, more than anything, this feels kind of scummy because Nintendo is going to hurt two of their biggest competitors, which is PlayStation and Xbox, and then they're also working on trying to take down their biggest competitor to a 34-year IP, Pokemon. And taking down Pal World would be huge for them. Again, they would continue to have that monopoly. But again, the reason why so many people went over to Pal World to try it is because it was innovative. It was innovative. And it is so incredibly ridiculous that Nintendo is just. They've really done a good job holding on to their IPs, but since they have a monopoly on these types of IPs and some of even the gameplay models, they don't have to innovate. And again, we just mentioned that with Unity. Imagine if there's a monopoly, and it's like with monopolization, there doesn't have to be any innovation. And again, it's all about money, and it's not focused on um, the actual IP. So me personally, I mean, I don't buy Nintendo stuff because again, I don't like how they overall do their business. I think their IPs are wonderful. The fact that they focus on making games fun and they basically stayed away from microtransactions for the most part, I think that's great because they make full-on games. But the other part of their practice is that they don't allow anyone else to actually make games that can be competitive with a lot of their IPs. And this in and of itself is pretty frustrating. And then they constantly do stuff like this. I mean, there are probably roughly one every month where they're giving out an NDA or shutting something down to cease operations, um, multiple times a year to all of these people doing mods, things that are free. People too that have YouTube channels have complained constantly about Nintendo always telling them to shut it down, demonetizing the video. It's just they are flipping Nintendo. You know what I mean? And they're very fierce and jealous over their IPs that they have and their patents that they have. And again, kudos to them. They have the right to do that. But they really stifle innovation and creativity in the industry. And like with what Power World did compared to Pokemon, I would very much rather play something like Power World than Pokemon, because Pokemon was cool like back in the 90s, okay? Back in even the 2000s. But again, it's like, okay, it's time to do something else, because I don't want to keep buying a new game with just new random monsters in it that don't even make sense now. Like vanilla ice cream cone and the flipping chair, and just like, this is not even Pokemon anymore. So I would like to see someone actually find out who owns Monster Rancher and make a Monster Rancher game. Why not? I mean, I think that would be great. I think that would be great. Oh yeah, one last thing with the Nintendo and Power World. I really believe Nintendo is all in to take Power World down. I don't think that this is going to be just a separate, hey, we're going to get together and settle on money and then you can keep making your game. No. I think if they're actually going against them for the patents, I think they can actually just completely take them down. And this is not necessarily a copyright. This is a patent issue. And so Nintendo needs to prove that they own the patents for a type of system in a video game. And two, like when they did Tears of the Kingdom, Nintendo also patented some of the mechanics in Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know if most of you know that, but again, it's just taking out some of the ability to be able to continue to make and expand on video games. And this is the same too with like the Nemesis system that we got to see in Shadows of War and Shadows of Mordor. The Nemesis system is a great system of having a living, breathing kind of NPC collective of characters and doing things, and there's a lot of ways to go about completing and running and finishing the game, which is really cool. Of working through the leadership when you're with your enemy, but again, it's like it's a patented system, and so you got to wait for the patent to run out, and then anybody can use it. For the Nemesis system themselves, it's 2034. That's a long time to wait. That's another 10 years from now before anybody can ever use that type of system in a video game. So, yeah. And same too with Nintendo. But again, it's like, how old are these patents? Are they past the 30-year mark? I don't even know how patents work in other countries. So yeah, this will be a long drawn-out process. We'll have to see what happens. Let's talk about Sony doing another reveal for their consoles again. The co-CEO said that consoles are their focus, and so they had the 20th anniversary of PlayStation, and we get a PS5 digital Slim and also a digital PS5 Pro model. And so what comes with these? The Slim comes with a 1 terabyte hard drive, DualSense controller, a disk drive cover, no disk drive, so you got to get that separately. It comes with the vertical stand. Yay, I think they were paying attention from how the PS5 Pro went down. You also come with a PlayStation 1 charge cable that's got micro USB-C, so you can still charge it and stuff, but it's that nostalgia and shape and size and everything of the PlayStation 1 charge cable, which was fun. I loved those. Those were great. You get 4 cable ties. You get a PlayStation sticker. You get a PlayStation poster. And you get a paper clip. Frick yeah. Oh my gosh, a paper clip. My life has changed. And so, yeah, this is just kind of, yeah, that's what comes in the entire bundle that you pay for PlayStation 5 Slim 30th Anniversary Edition. For the Pro version, there's only going to be 12,300 of them for December 3rd, which is when they launched in Japan in '94. So there's only going to be 12,300 of these. They're all going to be numbered. They're going to come with a 2 terabyte hard drive, Wi-Fi 7, which again none of us need, DualSense controller, and the DualSense Edge controller. So you get 2 controllers. Now the Edge is $200, so that's pretty hefty there. You also get a charging station, which is nice. You again are getting the disk drive cover, not the disk drive. You are getting the vertical stand, the PlayStation 1 charge cable, and etc. Like the sticker, the poster, the paper clip, that kind of stuff. So that's what you're getting. The thing that's kind of weird is that there's no price. They're not revealing any prices this time, so that's kind of off. There also is the PlayStation Portal. That's a standalone. You can go grab that if you want. There's also a DualSense controller and the DualSense Edge. These can be standalones too. So if you don't necessarily want to buy the console itself to get some of these other items, you can just get these controllers individually, which is nice. This too is going to make the price go up for those disk drives, baby. They're already $200 on eBay now instead of 80, so you can actually find one for $80. Just buy it because you can probably sell it for $100 by now anywhere. It's pretty insane. The aesthetic actually looks really cool. But that was also their biggest selling point, is the look and the style and the feel, and that's it. And so, we had the PlayStation 1 logo, which was cool, and the color is accurately represented. They also changed the normal PlayStation logo that we know of to match 30th anniversary. They also did some texture, some 3D texture on the back of the controllers or on like the triggers, and also on the inside panels of the PlayStation consoles themselves, with that 30th anniversary logo on there. But again, it's a lot of logo stuff. It's a lot of 3D texture stuff. It's a lot of, nostalgic stuff that way. But again, it's like, okay, we don't get a disc drive. We don't even have a price for this. We don't have any games. This was my biggest deal. It's like, okay, if you want to honor and commemorate the 30th anniversary of the PlayStation, and you're putting everything back to the PlayStation 1, why not actually have some games? Have some kind of arcade collection. It's not like these games are big file sizes, and it's not like you can't make an emulator for your 30th anniversary versions of your consoles. You can totally do that. And so, why aren't you putting out the games? There's a lot of them. Jeep Police, Future Cop, Resident Evil, Warhawk. You got Twisted Metal. Oh my word, folks. Twisted Metal, frick yeah, all day. You could also remaster some of these into collections. To say, hey, to also commemorate our 30th anniversary of the PlayStation, here's some remastered bundles. Or even just port them over, frick. Like Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, like with what Konami did, you mother hubbards, you didn't remaster those, of course. They're actually worse ports than what's out there. So anyway, but at least they could at least do that. Like they could at least put some of the collections out there. They could also remaster maybe some of the stuff for their 30th. But again, I don't get that feeling either. It's like this is all they flippin' did for the 30th year anniversary. 30 years in the making, folks, and they don't give a rip. That's my opinion. They don't care. And this is incredibly frustrating. There is some special packaging, too, that will be nostalgic of buying the PlayStation 1. You can pre-order on September 26th, and this will release on November 21st, just before Black Friday. So yeah, that's going to be flipping wild. But yeah, honestly, folks, if you want some of these, I would honestly suggest just wait for the shells to become available. Don't buy a whole new controller. Don't fight over the freaking mobs and the pre-order crowds and the scalpers. Just wait for the shells to actually come out and then put the shell on yourself. Because I guarantee you, just like with a lot of the other stuff out there, with given enough time, the shells start coming out for the consoles. And you can actually buy those separately or buy those as replacements. And then you can just swap it out yourself. For the console, or for the controllers, those come out usually a lot quicker. And so you can buy that shell probably within a year. So just wait. That's what I do. You can buy the shell for, I don't know, $30, $40 maybe total, and then just swap it out yourself. And instead of, buying a whole another controller, um, and doing it that way. Ultimately, you're going to save some money. But yeah, just buy the shell. That's what I've done with some stuff. If you need someone to actually put the shell on in your local, kind of around Oregon in the Valley, uh, just let me know. You can always reach out to me or look for those shells particularly, and then when they become available, let me know and I'll put it on for you, and I'll keep it cheap because we don't need to charge you know hundreds of dollars just to actually have a shell. And my bet is that the PS5 Slim 30th Anniversary Edition is going to be $600. My the PS5 Pro, the 30th Anniversary Edition, I think this is going to be around 900. Yeah, I wish I was wrong, but I will see. That's my prediction. 600 for the Slim, 900 for the Pro. That's my guess. I think the controllers they're going to be like $90 to $100 just for the DualSense one. The Edge I think is going to be $250. So anyway, yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And then no games, dude. What is Sony doing over there? I don't know. Because they could sell the bundles. They could sell the remaster bundles and stuff, or even just the ports. People would buy them. It's not like they already have the data. It's not like it would cost a lot, and they could patch in updates, or just make ports to work over for the PS5. Why not put them out on Xbox? I mean, a lot of these IPs are just letting them die. They're not doing anything with them. And anyway, I could rant about that forever. I won't. Excuse me. Let's move on. Bungie has been caught with stolen art again in Destiny 2. And so this is the third time they've been caught in a few years. And since they've been caught, the artist will be compensated. And honestly, it's just tough to make money out there doing artwork now. You're fighting against AI generation. You're fighting against theft from individuals and parties and developers. And then you two guys too. I mean, you art designers, you guys are getting fired. It's brutal out there. So if you actually do art creation and you try to make money out of it, keep the art close to your chest. Okay, keep it close, keep it hidden. Do jobs on the fly. Have some art to represent so you can help sell. But yeah, keep it close. Okay, don't put it out there on the internet unless you're actually delivering it to somebody through email or something. But yeah, don't shove it out there because, especially with Bungie losing 30%, 35% of their total developers, the teams that are struggling to meet ends meet, and meeting quotas and timelines and stuff, they're going to take any shortcut they can to keep their job. So it's kind of like the person stealing bread to feed his family, right? It's still wrong. But I understand why they're doing it. Now, some people out there, they're just scumbags, and they're just, hey, easy path of least resistance, whatever's easiest. I don't care who gets hurt. Yeah, there's people out there. But too, when you have a studio that's losing 35% of their devs and they're stealing artwork to try to just hurry up and get stuff out there, I can kind of understand that. So we're not exactly sure which one is which, but benefit of the doubt until we know otherwise, folks. It's a better way to live. Next, we're talking about Europe's top court is forcing Apple to pay $14.4 billion in taxes to Ireland. So Apple has been using Ireland to be able to have capital technically go to Ireland and then be transferred somewhere else in the world. It's called a conduit tax haven. And Ireland has been okay with this. They're probably getting a very small fee for this, or you probably pay a little bit of taxes, but it's very, very cheap to actually do it this way. And that's why companies do it. And so Apple's been doing this for quite some time. It's how they've been avoiding paying other taxes. And again, the lowest tax rates are going to be where the money goes. That's how it works because people don't want to pay taxes. I don't blame people for that whatsoever. I do that the same way. Absolutely. It's how I can make it on in just my income, one of the most expensive states in the United States. So, yeah, you got to find ways to make it work. Ireland initially didn't want Apple to pay because, again, Apple isn't probably going to funnel their money through there anymore if they can't actually do it legally. But the European court is telling them, no, you will take taxes from Apple. So there's going to be a massive tax influx of 14.4 billion over to Ireland. I'm sure they will enjoy that money because they're technically not a part of the United Kingdom. They're their own separate entity, not really a part of anything as far as I know. I think Northern Ireland is a part of the United Kingdom, but not actual Ireland itself. But too, this also means Apple is now going to go somewhere else. And so, if I was Ireland, I'd be kind of pissed because I had a good deal going there. And maybe I was taking a little bit of taxes. But maybe other companies too are going to be see what's going on with Apple and be like, maybe we're not going to use Ireland anymore. Maybe we're going to find somewhere else. Maybe just, not go through Europe entirely. But again, if you're forcing people to pay a lot more money, then they can simply just go somewhere else and try to save more money that way. And that's what these companies do. They're constantly focused on trying to save money because I guarantee you, folks, if all of the companies had to just pay taxes with where they lived, there's no way they could continue to operate as a business because the taxes are too flippin' high. And that could be a whole nother video to get into, but taxes are very expensive regardless of where you're going or what you're doing. And governments want a tax on everything, the same dollar over and over and over again until there's just nothing left of that dollar. And then they waste it all. They waste a lot of that money anyway, and they still we don't have enough money. It's like, no, you're not managing your money like an average person has to do. That's the problem. So, anytime you can save taxes, absolutely do it. Yeah, this is probably going to make Apple find a new safe haven to try to save taxes somewhere. But $14 billion, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money they got to pay. Last thing we got for news is EVE Online coming out with EVE Frontiers, and a lot of people are not excited about this. This is continuing to take place in the EVE universe, but this is a whole game made off of blockchain and NFT type of stuff, and nobody's excited about this. And the fact, too, that EVE Online, the CCP developers are actually doing this is telling me that they're having trouble making some money right now. And so they're just trying to find more ways to do it. And this is what they're going to try to do. So, again, they probably don't think most people are going to try this because they actually have a pretty big player base. It's like 400,000 a month people that are playing every month. So I should get an update on those numbers because it's been a few years. But they consistently have hundreds of thousands playing every month, and myself included. If I had the time, it does take a lot of time. If I had my time and folks to play with and whatever, I would play EVE Online 24/7 all the time. So it is so flippin' fun. I enjoy it. It's definitely for type A personality type of folks that love management and doing the absolute best and tweaking stuff and just, if you're type B, it's not for you, folks. That's okay. We got Stardew Valley and we got just Nazi zombies and we got some other stuff, right, going on. But, it is such a fun game. It's really built very well, and this is actually one of the few games that's actually older than World of Warcraft. This was launched in 2003. World of Warcraft was 2004. So this has been around for over 20 years now. And the fact they're using this blockchain thing, players are not excited. They're upset about this. They're not wanting this. And the developer has been like, hey, we at least want you to try it, and then decide if you don't like it. Which, fair. Okay, that's fair. You can at least try it. But again, it's like if people already know that they don't want this, some of them are like, I'm not going back. I'm not going to do this until they change their mind. I'm just not going to do this. So just kind of brutal. And you can't really screw around much with PC players because they're the oldest gamer group out of the entire gaming industry. They're in their 30s and 40s, and they've lived life for a while. And you're not going to be pulling the wool over these guys. They're going to figure it out. So CCP better be careful because these are not COD players. they're going to lose their player base if they push the type of stuff that they don't want. And if the rest, oh man, if the rest of the platforms were like this, where they could have, players take the time and stuff to actually be active and say no and withhold the money. Like if we were active like PC players, the gaming industry would be different today for consoles. And even mobile and handheld and all of that. It totally would. But we're just not that wise yet. So thanks for tuning in, folks. You can always find me at Gaming Garbage 22 over at YouTube. I also got Twitter X, Twitch, and Discord. Links are on my YouTube page. I should probably put those in the description too. And hopefully you guys are doing well. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Yeah, I know my audio's a mess. It sucks. Yeah, I just got to get this news out here. Some of the beginning part isn't as bad, but yeah, this is going to be pretty messy. But yeah, thanks for letting me know, brother. I'll see y'all in the next one.